Welcome, viewers, to Midnight Coffee with Faisal, and welcome to our masterclass for tonight's session. Yeah, so tonight we will be doing a project management masterclass, and we're going to talk about making decisions. Yeah, and what we what we have been experiencing is that most of the time when I was doing coaching, executive coaching, and project management, group coaching, I discovered that a lot of times, project leaders or project managers, project sponsors have difficulty in making decisions. And it's just not about making decisions, but making hard decisions. So what we're going to do today, tonight is that we're going to touch a little bit on what are the some of the fundamental issues involving the fundamental issues involving making decision making. Yeah, and you would see that I'm breaking this session into two parts, part one and part two, where part one we will talk about the fundamentals, and later in the part two, we will talk into details of some case studies as to what making hard decisions is all about. Yeah. Okay. So basically, for those who are just joining us, please, those who are viewing us live, please shout out in the box as to where you are viewing this live stream from. Yeah, and for those who are joining us for the first time, big welcome. And I am an independent management consultant and a business project management coach that helps clients to implement business solutions. Why I say business project management is that every time when I introduce myself as a project manager or a project leader or a project sponsors or project champion, people always have the perception that I come from the IT background or from construction or real estate development, architecture or engineering PMC or project management consultant, consulting services. Yeah. Uh, Technically they are not wrong. Yeah, they are not wrong because project management is a discipline that has been in existence for a long time. Yeah, since the scientific management era, part of the management evolution. Yeah, and it's just that because of this change, the disruptive changes in the business landscape, global business landscape, and coupled by the COVID-19 or the pandemic that hits the world all around us, I mean, all over the world, project management has taken a center stage where organizations are looking at a new management model or new ways of delivering results, because you have a new business model to generate revenue and all those things, but you cannot get new results, or you cannot achieve new results, new model by using the same old operations or the same old system, operation system. So you have to change your management model to suit your new business model. And with a lot of disruptions, your organization has to be agile. And everybody talk about agility now. Everybody talk that organization has to be adaptive. So project management do to a certain degree, provide organization with a solution, an approach to help them to deliver the results, using the new business, the new management model. Okay, so what we're going to do is that tonight we're going to go straight to the crux of the matter, where we talk about making hard decision. All right, basically this is what we are being told. Yeah, this is what we are being told. As you can see, there are two types of there are four types. It's a matrix in terms of making decisions, or types of decision. You have a program or you have a non-program. Program are simple routine matters, which is daily operations. Yeah, where you already have the SOP or standard operating procedures or processes to look into those decisions, like personal and organizational, your daily habits, your daily routines, and all those things. These are programmed. You don't have to think so much about getting off your bed and then going to the bathroom and do whatever that is necessary before you go to work, or go, because everybody's working from home now, and the routine has slightly changed. But basically, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. And then at organizational level, you have rule books, playbook, manuals, SOP to take care of the program decisions. It's something that is already there. Yeah. But the other type of decision is a non-program. The non-program decision are the new, complex decision that requires creative solution. This is where, at a personal level, you talk about job choice or career selection. You have to. It's not that every day you change job, or maybe, yeah. With the new trend is that people are changing jobs because of the pandemic. People are losing job. People are switching job. But at the end of the day, regardless, is something that you have to consider hard. Yeah, making because it's not something that you do it every day. At organizational level, you talk about strategic planning issues, like what we talked about earlier, where you talk about the pandemic that hits the organization. Yeah, where the pandemic that hits the organization, it changes the whole business landscape. And today is the 27th of February, 2022, and uh, we are now facing another global crisis. I wouldn't say global crisis, but it can have a global impact between Ukraine and Russia, and many countries are now moving towards peaceful settlement. But again, how does this change the business landscape? How we change the global business landscape is a strategic issue that organization have to plan. Yeah, and it's not every day people go to war. Yeah, hope we don't hope for it to go into the a bigger war. We try to make sure that it can be resolved peacefully. But this is crisis management, and this is what project management is all about. If you remember in my masterclass earlier, yeah, if you remember my masterclass earlier, when we talk about project management is all about uncertainty and full of risk. So project management is full of risk and uncertainty, so you have to make decisions, non-program decisions. Yeah, is something that that you have to be comfortable with making non-program decisions. If you are a person, yeah, if you are a person who's not comfortable in making non-program decisions, then project management environment or project life is not for you. I'm sorry, I've just stating the facts. There are a lot of people who claim that they have experiences running projects, but they are still having tough time in making hard decisions. And I've met many, even at sea level. Yeah. So what we're doing is that this is what they tell us, and we know this. You and I, most of the viewers who are being involved in running projects, we know that there is this. These are the types of decision. Yeah. So the question is, we are being bombarded. Yeah, we are being bombarded by um, models of rational decision making, trying to make decision, try to rationalize the choices from available alternatives. And most of you know, yeah, most of you viewers know that yeah, we talk about all those framework, decision making models, trying to come up with a rational decision making. But what they fail to tell us is that, yeah, what they fail to tell us is, as much as we want to be rational, yeah, as much as we want to be rational, they didn't tell us about bounded rationality. Yeah, I'm going to pause for a minute. They didn't tell us about bounded rationality. So you have to be careful, or put extra caution when you talk about rational decision making, because we talk about bounded rationality means there are limits to rationality, because different people have a different experience, different exposure level, different thinking level, different strategic or creative thinking level. And as I said earlier, I've met even at sea level uh, who who excel in their functional areas. Yeah, I'm not saying they're good. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm sorry, I'm not saying they're bad. They excel in their functional areas. Yeah, but when it comes to cross-functional collaboration, working with other people, working with a diverse set of stakeholders, across a diverse set of users and suppliers, they just collapse because they are not used to work with outside. Yeah, they're not used to be working outside their comfort level. So at the end of the day, the whole decision making process collapsed because of this bounded rationality. That means what it means bounded rationality. What it means here is that not we know, yeah, we know, excuse me, we know something about a lot of things. Yeah, we know something about a lot of things, but we do not know everything about everything. Yeah? If, for example, you know everything about everything, yeah, you know everything about everything, then you must be God, which is impossible. Yeah, you must be the creator or the supreme being that creates human being, which just doesn't make sense, because we don't know everything about everything. We know something about a lot of things, yeah, but we don't know everything about everything. So this is where we talk about the bounded rationality earlier. Yeah, we talk about bounded rationality is that we can rationalize certain things up to a certain degree because of this thing called bounded rationality. Okay, so the question is that's what they didn't tell us about bounded rationality, and then they also didn't tell us about the perceptions and decision making. How perceptions affect our decision making. A part of it can be caused by the bounded rationality. The other one is the a problem or concern that you are facing in organization. It is always a perceived discrepancy. Sometimes you look at the text, textbook and articles and all those things. People thought problem is a discrepancy between current state of affair and the desired state. They forgot the word perceived, because to you, it can be a problem. To you, it can be a real problem. But somebody else, when they listen to you, they said, well, there is no big deal. It's not a big problem. You see, it's more of how you perceive things. So when you talk about making decision, you have to see at what level are you perceiving it, from whose perspective that you are looking at it. And then again, it's the same with the decision making. When you talk about making decision, you are making a decision trying to rationalize things, and you know you are limited by your bounded rationality, and it's a choices made from among alternatives that you have developed from data that you perceive as relevant. So which data is relevant, which information that you have extracted or converted from data, it is all based on what you perceive to be relevant. Again, if you present your data or you present your information to another person, he or she will say, actually, no, actually, there are more to it. Because he or she has the upper hand, or have more experience, or have gone through it, and as have come out with solutions to it. Yeah. So at the end of the day, at the end of the day, when you want to make a decision, it's all about how you perceive things. This is what something that people don't tell us. They want us to try to rationalize our decision, but fail to emphasize that limit, or the limit to rationality, which is bounded rationality. And then we talk about our perception, because a problem to us, for us maybe a big problem, but to somebody else is a small problem. But if, for example, the reverse, we perceive it as a small problem, but to somebody else, they perceive it as a big as a we perceive it as a small problem, but to them it's a big problem. So it's a matter of perception. Then the other part that did not tell us, or they did not want us to develop, is that the intuitive decision making. That means the unconscious process created of this still experience. And this is where sometimes people say wisdom. Yeah. Wisdom. What is the wisdom? We go and meet up all those elderly people, or sometimes knowledgeable people and all those things, or people with the experience and all those things, because we want to get their wisdom. Yeah. And we go and talk to the wise one, so to speak. So what actually happened is that for them, they are making they're comparing the rationale with intuitive decision making. Yeah, rational decision making, and marrying it with the intuitive decision making is an unconscious process created of this still experience. So this is where uh, people always talk about the rational decision making, for not telling us about bounded rationality, because we don't know everything about everything, and the use of intuitive decision making. So, you and I, we have been bombarded with this, yeah, about how do we improve decision making. People will talk about analyzing the situation, try to avoid biasness, and because there's biasness is inbuilt in human being because of those bounded rationality. Please combine rationale and intuition to increase the decision making effectiveness. We tell us don't assume that the specific decision style is appropriate to every situation. That means there's no one size fits them all, which is true. There is no one decision style, fits all the situation. Yeah, there's no one size fits them all, because every situation is different, is unique. Yeah, is unique. And then people are telling us, be creative in your decision making or looking for solution. Yeah, people talk about being creative, but at the end of the day, I know, when you want to go a little bit above the so-called the operational guidelines within the organization, you have all these policies, procedures, that becomes the straitjacket for you to move forward. So how can you be creative when you have all those policies and procedures that is hindering you? I mean, creating a constraint. And that is why in part 2, I will talk about um, making decisions and linking it to performance, because all your decisions, at the end of the day, you want to improve your either business performance or your personal performance, like what we seen earlier in the slides, where we talk about personal decisions or making a organizational decision. So personal and organizational decisions, sometimes you have all these constraining factors. So when you have all these constraining factors, how can you be creative in your decision making? And you can suggest or propose a solution that is out of the world. I mean, not say out of the world technically, but uh, out of the norm within the organization. And you will have a lot of challenges, or people will be against those decisions because they not feel comfortable, because you are pushing your policies and procedures to the edge. So how can you have creativity if with all this constraint? Yeah. So, and then people say be ethical. Yeah, but what do you mean by ethical? What is the value system that is built within the organization? There are organizations who have a very nice worded value system, uh, printed big and blazon to the wall of the organization, and you have strings of text that nobody understand and nobody internalize it. So all those value system and all those things are just there as a decor or decorative purposes, but nobody uh, what you call that, believe in it, internalize it, let alone practice it. And we talk about being ethical. So this is where sometimes we know that I know, and these are all the things that people the I mean out there, people are recommending to you to improve your decision making. But what I have discovered is that through my through my engagement with the C level, and whether they are C level or senior managers or managers or even executive, is that why is it difficult to make hard decisions? Because they don't know what is a hard decision. A hard decision sometimes, the hardest thing and the right things are the same. You have to bear that in mind. Yeah, making a hard decision is that sometimes the right thing and the hard thing is the same. It's just like when you want to terminate a staff within the project team, a project team member. You know that this person is a non-performer, and you want to dismiss that particular person. Yeah, you want to dismiss this particular person, but you have empathy. You think about, no, if I were to dismiss this particular person, I have to think of the he. Sometimes, you go into personal part. He's married. He has a wife. He have 3 kids or 4 kids, and he's taking care of the parents and all those things. So you start going into all those on all those personal issues. But as I said, uh, if you are running an NGO, then it's different story. If you are running a non-governmental organization, or you are running a charity, then it's different story. Because people join you because they want to join you, because they for whatever motive, which will be covered in part two. But what I'm trying to do is that I just jump the gun a bit. Is that different people have different motive in joining your organization. If it is a charitable organization, a social organization, yes, empathy is there because you are social service. You are providing social services. You have to empathize and then see how you can resolve it. But if you are running uh, a business organization where you are talking about bottom line, you're talking about uh, P&L, profit and loss, you have to think that you are not a social services and you are not a welfare organization. You have to run the business. You have to make sure the project delivered on time. I'm not saying that you should not empathize, but I'm not saying that you should not have empathy, but the person that is being affected must think for himself first or herself first. Because this issue about making hard decision, a person, whether he or she, uh, when they don't perform in the projects, we try as our level best. We try our level best to assist them, because performance is a function of three factors that affect performance: motivation, ability, and constraint. Sometimes some people, they are willing to learn, but they are not able. So you can upskill, you can reskill for them to be able to do the job. But there are people who are just joining the bandwagon. I know that you have a team members, you have a project team where you have this person who is just there enjoying the ride, and you have that sort of team members. So the question is, despite of you talking to them, counseling them, coaching them, mentoring them, things still doesn't move. He or she still doesn't change. The performance is still at whatever level of unsatisfactory, and or sometimes it depends on the mood swing. Sometimes it can go down below below par. Yeah. So what do you do about it? So you try to think about somebody's the consequences of your decision and how it affects the person. But at the end of the day, if such person does not think, does not consider, does not empathize with himself or herself, then why should you? So this is where sometimes being project manager can be stressful, And I've said this in my previous episodes on project life and project environment. Living in the project world is not for the fainted heart. If you are a person who is so comfortable with BAU, business as usual, all the processes are well laid down, all the decision points are there, all the flow diagram decision, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, there are there, then project environment is or project world is not for you. And if you notice that you are not into that, exit quickly before you add stress onto yourself. And a stress can be uh, a very what you call that, detrimental, yeah, not only to your physical self but also to your emotional self, yeah. So if you are not equipped, if you are willing but you are not able, you need to be re-skill, retrain, or I mean, do relearn new things. But if you are not willing, unwilling, and you are also not able or unable, then you just have to leave. And this is where we talk about making hard decisions. As a project leader or project manager or project champion, or even I as a project coach, right now I'm coaching the senior executives of certain companies, C level, and I'm seeing that they're not there. They can be good in the functional areas of whatever that they are doing, but when it comes to project environment and cross-functional collaboration, they are not just there. And it's my responsibility as a coach to coach them. But you can coach to a certain amount, yeah. You can coach them to a certain amount, but at the end of the day, it is up to the individual. So sometimes you have to make a hard decision to drop that particular person from the team, or you can recommend to HR about what to do with, if he or she is your senior position, like what I'm facing now, is the C level. Then you have to recommend to the HR to design to send him or her to another different form of intervention. Yeah, maybe he or she need to be reassigned out of the projects. Yeah, but the cause of the problem is that mainly in why we have difficulty to make a hard decision is that we tend to overcomplicate matters. Yeah, we tend to overcomplicate matters. Yeah. So what we need to do is that viewers, when we talk about making hard decisions, when we want to make hard decisions, the first thing is that go to the crux of it, bring it down to a manageable level. Where we talk about manageable level means it's understood by you as the decision maker and the person who is affected by the decision or the stakeholders. Bring it down to a level where everybody can understand. Don't complicate things with all those big jargons, big words, just to scare people, and or sometimes you want to show that you are smart. Yeah? And people know that you are smart, but don't try to complicate things. Yeah, bring it down to a level where everybody can understand, because not everyone in a cross-functional collaboration, not everyone understand your functional piece. There are people from other divisions or other functional areas who are not familiar with your terminologies and your jargon. So don't complicate matters. Bring it down to the level which is common sense. Unfortunately, my aeronautical professor those days in the 80s, AC Kemot, mentioned that common sense, which is not common these days. But okay, but that was in the 80s, and I see that in 2022 is still the same. Yeah, so unfortunate that we are in. So, but what we are trying to get at is that in making hard decisions, don't overcomplicate matters. Don't go into the details of trying to be a charitable organization when you are running on P&L, cash flow, and all those things. Yeah, but if you are running an NGO, you are running a what you call that, charity or social services, yes, then is different story. So it all depends on the organization that you are in. And if, for example, even in a charity, in a social services or charitable organization, you have to pick the right person. And sometimes, if there is a misfit between the person with your project, sometimes you just have to drop that particular person. You just cannot carry a person just because he or she is your friend. Because at the end of the day, we want people who are able to deliver. Yeah. But sometimes, there are also people who overdo what they're supposed to do. Like, for example, questioning all the decisions, all those things, which sometimes it is out of scope of the charitable organization, going to do things that is not within the boundaries of the charity scope. Yeah. So this is where sometimes we, as project leaders, project managers, project sponsors, or we find it hard to make. I wouldn't say hard. We find it difficult. Yeah. Let me rephrase that. We find it difficult to make hard decisions because, number one, we overcomplicate matters. Yeah. We overcomplicate matters, and then we don't want to do the right thing. Because, as I said, the right thing is usually sometimes can be the hardest thing to do. So, in making decisions, um, in part one, let's be clear of this fundamental first. Yeah, the first thing is that everybody talk about the types of decision. Everybody knows about the types of decision. That we need to do, personal or organizational. And project managers fail to realize that this is part of non-program project environment. Decisions in project world or project environment is always non-program. There is no such thing as a program decision in any projects, because different projects have different behaviors, different outlook, different deliverables, different outcome. Yeah. It can be adaptive, and you adapt it along the way. And sometimes, because of the situation, the situation changes. You have to adapt, and you have to be agile, and you have to deviate from the normal processes if there's any. Yeah. Okay, that's number one. That means we talk about the types of decision, project environment, living in the project world, and all those things is always a non-program decision. Then people talk to us about rational decision making. Yeah, we know. Everybody said, "Oh, you have to be rational about this. You have to be rational about this. You have to be rational about this." But they didn't tell us that there is limit to there are limits to rationality, because each individual bounded by what we call bounded rationality. Because we don't know everything about everything, there will always be perspectives, whether our own perspective, our other stakeholders' perspectives, our team member perspectives, our suppliers' perspectives, and you also have our clients' perspectives. So there are four lenses, four lenses that you need to look at the particular problem before you make a decision. So this is where uh, we talk about the wisdom that you want to put in, where when we talk about wisdom, what actually wisdom is those distilled experience that you have already have, and you translate into what we call intuitive decision making. Yeah. So you have to combine rational decision making and also intuitive decision making. All right. That part is covered. So that is the second part. The third part is that when we talk about being rational, making rational decision making, why are we complicating matters by getting into the emotional part, the empathy part? That's what I have mentioned earlier. The third thing is that you overcomplicate and looking into the consequences of the decisions and all those things. Let it be. Yeah. So if that is the right thing to do, decisions, if that is the right decision, and usually the right decisions are hard decision because you complicate matters, by looking into the consequences and injecting the emotional aspect into your decision making. So this is where project managers go haywire, and every time uh, when you have issues, you have difficulty to make hard decisions. All right. Okay. So just to to recap these three things, always remember. Yeah, you have to know the type of decision that you are making. Number two, be aware of bounded rationality as much as you want to rationalize. Be aware of bounded rationality. So you need multiple lenses to view at the problem and solutions. Yeah, and also marry or use the rational and intuitive decision making together. And finally, is that stop complicating matters and just go about making the decisions. And as I said to many of the um, organization that I've come across, is that there is no such thing as a bad decision, because the decision that you made is the best decision at that point of time. 2 years later, when the situation changed, I mean, you cannot predict. You can only forecast this is going to happen. Nobody forecasted. I mean, when I was doing the business coaching for organization in 2018, everybody was painting their 5-year plan. Yeah, 5-year plan. Everybody is painting their 5-year plan. Talking about going into 2020, 21, 22, 23, and year 2025 in the 2018. 2020, you are hit with pandemic and the whole world shut down. I mean, locked down. What happened to your plan? How do we anticipate that? The whole world is not prepared or not ready for pandemic, because we were once, yeah, Spanish flu was once, way long time ago, yeah, that has affected the world, but nobody and people did not thought about all this coronavirus and whatever have you, yeah. So what is going to happen now? We are in 2022. And I know, as I said upfront earlier, Ukraine and Russia is at war. But what is going to happen? Is there going to be a peaceful settlement, or is there going to be a real war? How does the other countries going to react? The surrounding countries, how's this North Korea and South Korea are going to respond? How's the United States going to respond? How's the NATO or the European Union is going to respond? They are talk about it. Everybody is talking about it. Everybody is looking for peaceful settlement. But at the end of the day, there is no assurance, there is no guarantee. So that's what project management is all about. Project management is full of risks and uncertainties, and we have to be comfortable with it. If we are not comfortable with it, then the if you cannot stand the heat in the kitchen, then you just have to leave the kitchen. That's what it is. All right. What we're going to do is that I'm going to sign off this time, yeah, for this part one. Um, and what we'll do is that I will continue with part two and see how making tough decisions relate to performance, because performance is also an issue within organization, and everybody is talking about performance, 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 performance. But what actually is performance? Have we actually really defined performance? Are we defining the performance based on yesterday's data, yesterday's information? Or we are defining performance based on today? Or we defining performance based on tomorrow? And just now, I have jumped the gun a bit, and I talk about performance is a result of the three function: motivation, ability, and constraint. So we will go into that in the part two masterclass. And once we are clear of the performance, because at the end of the day, decision is all about improving our performance. Yeah, and in part two, we will talk about the performance, and towards the tail end, we will dovetail the decision making and performance together. All right. With that, thank you, viewers, for uh, viewing with me. My last word would be, please stay safe. Yeah. we are not out from this pandemic yet. Yeah, we are still faced with all these challenges about these cases going, I mean, on the increase right now. Yeah, it's close. I think we already hit the 30,000, but again, is a lot better than the last time, because everyone, most of the people are now have been vaccinated. Yeah, and even some have gone through the booster shots and all those things. So even if you have you contracted the virus, usually it will be okay, category 1 or category 2, where you don't need a serious medical attention unless you have non-medical history like a heart attack or diabetes or whatever not. But what I'm trying to say here is that whatever the case may be, please be vigilant about the surrounding. Yeah, and take care. Yeah, take care, and stay safe. Yeah, thank you for viewing this live stream.
Thank you, everyone. That's a wrap.